In today's video, I'll show you what kind of finance team you need for your startup and how to scale up your finance function. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Roland Umlauft. I'm an independent strategic consultant and startup CFO, and I have a specific focus on early stage startups and corporate innovation. Well, in the early days of your startup, finance is going to evolve from, being more of a kind of founder side hustle on the weekends into something that is run by a structured team. Success is going to depend on recognizing the shift between, when to hire more of a builder versus when to hire more of an administrator, and knowing exactly when to hire which profile. So, builders versus administrators. In finance, you will generally find two types of people, and I call them the builders and the administrators. Builders, they thrive in the ambiguity of a startup. They love to create new systems. They love to establish the foundation for your finance function from scratch. They're really people focused on the big picture. By contrast, administrators are more detail-oriented people, and they tend to prefer to run in existing structures and to run existing processes. So during your first years, you're really going to need more of a builder. And you're probably going to outsource most of your finance function anyways. So, accounting, tax, payroll, all of that is going to be handled externally. So for your first hire, what I recommend is you look for, this kind of highly motivated rookie or an unconventional candidate who can wear multiple hats and, own the numbers and own the close. This person must be comfortable with chaos. And they should be able to find a solution, even if it is not perfect. You just need to get things done. In contrast, if you hire an administrator type person too early, you're going to create a lot of friction, and that will just slow you down. On top of these type of personalities, you're obviously going to need to hire different types of functions at some point, right? So let's talk about when to hire a controller first. The decision to hire a controller usually is driven just by compliance volume, right? As your startup grows beyond a certain business volume or headcount, a number of entities, the operational load of invoices, payroll, tax filing, and accounting is growing exponentially. You will need a controller when this, headache that you have is just the sheer volume of transactions and the need for rigorous internal controls. The controller is going to bring structure and integrity to your organization. So they're going to ensure that your accounting and your data are, rock solid. Also for your investors, if you're going into fundraising, for example. For software startups, this often happens when, revenue starts growing exponentially, or when investors begin demanding, high-level credibility in your monthly numbers. If your biggest issue or your biggest headache isn't so much transaction volume, but rather, a lack of visibility, for example, it's probably time to hire more of an FP&A function. FP&A stands for financial planning and analysis. You need an FP&A hire when you can't confidently answer board questions about cash runway, for example, or, budget versus spend discipline, scenario modeling. Your FP&A is going to be acting as your strategic brain, connecting your business plan to reality and helping the leadership team to make trade-offs for future growth. So while many companies wait until later years to hire a full-time FP&A manager, there's actually data that shows in about 20% of high-growth startups, FP&A hires actually appear before a controller because cash visibility is just a bigger pain point than compliance at that point. Your team is eventually going to grow, so once it expands to around 5 people or more, you're probably going to move away from generalists who, wear many hats towards specialized roles to maximize the ROI on each head. So you're going to have somebody, who just focuses on accounts payable, for example. At some point, your accounting headcount will typically outpace any kind of, FP&A or analysis type headcount. This is typically because the recurring operational load, global consolidations, audits, regulatory rigor, They will just require more physical muscle than the lean strategic brain of the FP&A function. Another major decision, obviously, for early stage startups is when to bring on a CFO. Now, here you have two options. You can get a fractional part-time CFO, or you can make a full-time hire. Now, a fractional CFO gives you access to, high caliber guidance for, a few hours a week at a much, much lower cost than a full-time executive. They are ideal for startups between, seed and Series A, who just need a thought partner for fundraising, capital allocation, but they're not able to afford a full-time executive. Most venture-backed startups, on the other hand, will bring on a permanent CFO after, a Series A or a Series B funding, or once revenue exceeds, for example, 10 million. A full-time CFO will provide deep organizational knowledge and continuity, and will act as a proactive partner to the leadership team to shape your investment priorities. The bottom line of all of this is that effectively growing your finance function is necessary as your company grows and your priorities change. Let me know in the comments if you have any specific questions about this topic, and please subscribe to my channel for more content about startup finance.